Hey, welcome to this hopefully 5-minute edition, or perhaps longer if it becomes a cool topic, edition of coffee and snakes. So before we start off, I just want to introduce you to these two. Obviously, you've met this one before. This is the live feeder of the group. So I know that it is just basically a fact that snakes will grow, eventually. I just want to point out that these two right here are the same age. They didn't come from the same clutch, but this is our first serious rescue. This is the one that we didn't know whether it was going to survive past the severe dehydration that it had experienced. And yeah, like I said, these two snakes right here, exact same age, significant difference in size. So if you guys know something that I do not, same standard feeding cycle. The only true difference is that she's on live rats, and we feed the exact same thing to both of these creatures. So we've done rats for a really long time. We decided we were thinking about going into mice just to boost the size. But significant size difference. And also, we do have potentially some... Yeah, look, I'm trying to... It looks like she's definitely got some spider patterning. But as far as wobble goes, she's never really... Well, that right there is like just her just kind of hanging out. But as far as wobble goes, I've seen nothing. Also, check out the shape of the scales. That circular. In relation to the diamond patterning of... Oops. It's in a pretty belly though. But yeah. In relation to the diamond patterning. So we'll kind of look at two separate areas of the same, I suppose. But yeah. She's the same age. And I know everybody says that, snakes will grow, to be the same size, but I am uncertain as to whether this could potentially be some sort of dwarf royal. We obtained her from a pet store, so I don't know. She's definitely a special, at least. Potentially some spider, but like I said, no signs of wobble ever. Super good-natured. She's the one we protect generally. So funny enough, this is Xena, right? And this is Gabby, right? So Xena Warrior Princess. Yeah. So she was really the one that kind of started the emergency rescue situations out. So we learned a lot, once again, from her. And that is like the entirety of our snake collection right here. So I've held her out just for a little bit. But yeah, I was just kind of curious as to see what you thought potentially as far as, what is the possibility. Because I know that Brian Gundy has an 8-foot python right now. But yeah, definitely. Beautiful patterning. Super good-natured. Difference in size. Significant difference in size. No difference in feeding, aside from, they feed and they eat. Most likely she will actually eat more often, because sometimes it takes a little bit of time for us to get to the live feeder store for this one. Because obviously, we're not those types of people on Craigslist who, go and obtain pet rats to feed their kids. That's totally inhumane. And we've actually we've sent out rats before, because I didn't have the heart to actually, feed them, because they were already, it was an established, you know, group. But yeah, two significant size differences. I know I just need to, I don't know. I love it, just her brightness. Oh. And they are doing pretty okay. Anyway. So yeah, with snakes, generally they just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. However, the size difference between these two and the questionable, you know, I mean, there's really zero, not too much difference in feeding. But yeah, look at how much. Okay. Well, that wraps up this segment. Let's just pause this and I'll get back to the next segment that I was going to talk about. So the next couple of things I'm going to talk about are heaters and certain things that you are going to need for these reptiles in particular. Usually they just require a smaller space under tank heaters. Oh, you're so chubby. Oh, I just love the chubness. We do not, I'm using this as a reminder to myself to let you know that we do not use red lights with any of our reptiles whatsoever. Usually there are a couple of things that we can do, realizing that LED light is a super easy way to gain some of those diurnal frequencies that the earthly bodies create or you know, crave. I can't stop now. I just got to continue on. Also, we use a UVB set. Oh my god, she's so cute. And then also, let's talk about those Accurite temperature gauges. I've got a couple here. As an example, like I said, we've got a 13 by 10 room, and that houses a couple racks and a couple shelves that have terrarian-based habitats for some of our bigger creatures. Oh, I don't even want to interrupt her. Okay. Switching hands here. Okay. So this is what we use. We use the Accurites. You can actually find these at local areas. What that does is that shows you the humidity and the temperature. It's a little bit chilly in here today, obviously. But the inside of our room, we like to keep that between a 77 and an 85. And it's good because it's a smaller space. We're well ventilated. Also decent insulation, and so that way we just keep the heater on, maintaining that air temperature for generally everybody. Our habitat at this point in time, since nobody's really going into hibernation because we just kind of set it, we're not breeding. So I'm not worried about that. And then also making sure that it is warm enough for everyone to be digesting their food sources. And all that good stuff. She literally, like, we've had her for like 2 or 3 years now, 3 years almost. Well, it is becoming afternoon rather quickly. But, yeah, thank you very much for joining us. Ooh, wanted to say one more thing. Let's talk about UTHs. And thermometers and stuff. Obviously, Zoom Med is something that we use regularly. Upon moving, I had to take everything out, and I used wax paper on the other side. So I haven't actually used this under tank heater, but this is actually a large size under tank heater. Obviously, it's not in warranty right now. So, and since I'm not actually needing to use it, I haven't tried it out. But with those, when you do pull them off, you do run the risk of you know, potentially not being able to use it again. Because it is kind of a, you know, they do suggest like a 1 stick or minimal sticks as per necessary. But under tank heaters are very, very important for these because you need a hot side and a cold side. So yeah, one more thing, just remember no red light for these, hot side, cold side. Make sure that that temperature is at least 78 degrees, if not a little bit warmer. 78 up to 88 is an appropriate temperature for these royal pythons. And yeah, 3-year-old, regular feeding schedule. We do not power feed, and actually we are on the leaner side just because we do care about the actual health and safety of our snakes. So we give them a little bit of time to process that food. Always had really, really good clean sheds, but definitely a success and a love of ours, and has really yeah. Boy, this is a really wintry, really unmotivated episode of Coffee and Snakes. Tai Chi, the snake. My college advisor would be proud. Kind of taught me to Tai Chi everything. Anyway, so that definitely wraps up this edition. This little dwarfy python who loves to eat. Really great feeding response. Really great feeding response. Always wants to eat. Which hopefully she's going in. She did actually go through a growth spurt recently. But, oh, a little bit dehydrated also. See that right there? I could stand to put a little bit more humidity in her enclosure. So yeah, watch for those. That actually brings up a really cool thing. If you ever see this on a snake and it gets all really crumpled up, like you see 2 or 3 in a row, just like this, that means the snake is super, super dehydrated. And like I said, water is super important for these. So, I mean, you have no idea how much water one of these can actually drink until you start spending some time with them and actually seeing how will they respond to fresh water. It's so great when I fill up the enclosures and it smells like rain. And the first thing they do is they pop their head out and they go and check out the fresh water and they just gulp it down for like minutes upon minutes. It is pretty great. That's exactly how I feel about coffee as well. Another long edition. I don't know, it's winter. Thanks for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.